All right, we're good to go. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Worldhoppers. This is a collaborative channel where we have all AdSense revenue and sales from merch go toward charity. And today's video, we're going to be doing the reading habits book tag. If you want to answer the questions yourself, we'll have the questions in the description bar down below, but we're just going to jump right into it. And the first one is, do you have a certain place at home for reading?
My bed.
Yeah, my bed's my favorite place to read for sure. I do most of my, as my channel name suggests, most of my reading happens before I go to bed. And so a lot of times I'm reading in bed. When I do daytime reading, which is not as often, I will read on the couch. But I like to be laying down while reading, or at least leaned back pretty far. I'm not like a sit up straight kind of reader.
You don't have it flat on a table?
No.
I have to sit up pretty straight because of neck problems and like shoulder and neck problems. Like, I mean, you guys see me constantly like messing with my neck when we're sitting here, but I usually read on my couch, and I have like, I'm like in the corner. So I have one arm up here, and then I have my bed pillow across my lap so I can rest my shoulders on it to try to keep everything like all straight. It's very annoying, honestly. And then I have another pillow propped up over here to keep everything like straight. It's like a whole process. And then I do read. What?
I said, you're such an old lady.
I know. Like, I gotta get the correct posture. For real, I do. And then in bed, I read sometimes too before I go to bed. But I get pretty tired. I get kind of tired when I read no matter what. But before bed, certainly, I can only read for like 20 minutes before I start to fall asleep. So that's where.
How about you, Jesse? Besides your bed, anywhere else?
Bed. The couch. The couch and the bed. That's pretty much I go to. I don't have much else to say about.
So I would say majority, like a lot of people, reading on the couch, reading in bed. I do like to be a certain level of propped up, not perfectly straight, but I can't be leaning back too much. It sounds so bratty, but I get dizzy if I lean back too much, and I don't know why. So I have to be like mostly propped up.
Bratty.
It wasn't bratty.
It made me think about the live show that we did over on Bethany's channel when Alan had the fan going, and I was like, can you maybe turn that off? Because it makes me, I get dizzy really easily. So it made me think about that. But I have so for those that don't know, we had moved into my dad's house to help him before he passed away. And so I live here now, and he has a back patio. And there is a like this old futon that I actually used to sleep on, because when we would come to visit my dad growing up, my sister and I, like I would sleep on the futon, and she would sleep in the like on bed or couch or whatever. But we didn't want to share because I was a giant 10-year-old and she was a teenager. So anyway, this futon, I just like to sit out on the back patio when the weather is nice. That is my favorite. To read outside, and I'll like prop my feet up, and the birds are chirping, and my dog is like running around chewing on sticks and whatever. And it's just like the most wholesome, happy thing. I'll add too, though, that I want to be better about not necessarily reading in bed or on the couch. There's this one chair we have, and I want to try this year to set that chair aside as basically a reading chair if I can, to kind of tell my brain, because when you read in places where you do other activities, I feel like then it makes you, like that spot that I sit on the couch is also where I sit if I'm playing video games, because I want there to be a designated, like, this is for reading spot. So I'm hoping to try that this year and make it more consistent. Like, this is where I go to read, but we'll see. We'll see how long it lasts.
Earlier this year, we did get some back patio furniture. So I have done that sometimes. I don't do it a lot. Especially because a lot of times the weather is not great here.
Right.
It's either too hot or too cold for me. It's hardly ever just right. But I do like to sit out there. We have like a little couch, and sometimes I lay down on the couch. Sometimes I sit up, and a lot of times the dogs will come sit with me, which is really nice. And the other thing that I did this year, I bought a kiddie pool. Well, actually, it's not a kiddie pool. It's like either a baby pool or for your pets. So it's really small, like 3 feet wide and like 2 feet tall. And I'm very small myself. I'm child sized. I'm only 4'9". So I can actually sit in it with my legs all the way out, and like I fit in it, versus like the average person wouldn't. So a few times this year I have filled up the pool and sat outside either with my Kindle or with an audiobook and just like got some sun and sat in the pool. And that actually was a lot of fun. I love to read by like the pool, or when we lived in California, I would go read on the beach all the time. Not all the time, but like many weekends. I just like being by the water and stuff, but I since I moved into this house, like ever since I stopped living in apartments, I don't really have a pool to go by. And so when I bought that pool this summer, I really wasn't sure if it was going to work out, but it was actually kind of nice. I mean, I'm the only one that can use it. It's way too small for anybody else except for the dogs. Sometimes they'll jump in with me. But that's been kind of fun. And so maybe I'll get to do that again next summer.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I knew where the story was going as soon as you said a kiddie pool. I was like, Jade got in it because she's tiny.
Yeah. Well, it's like that much water, so.
Yeah, that's fun. Now, since you mentioned audiobooks, I'm going to add in a question that's not actually one of them. So for those of you that listen to audiobooks, is there a certain activity that you like to do while listening to an audiobook?
Cleaning the house, because it is so nice when I like purposely will find things to clean around the house so that I can listen to a good audiobook. Like I'm listening to the audiobook for City of Girls, which is Shoshana's favorite right now. And it is so good. And I'm like, I don't want to stop listening to it. So I just kind of keep finding other things to like clean or do. Like I painted a room yesterday because I was like, I want to listen to this audiobook. So yeah, audiobooks are great for cleaning.
I wish I was like that. I mean, I do occasionally listen to audiobooks while I'm cleaning. I just never really want to clean. So that doesn't happen that often. I do like doing puzzles while I listen to audiobooks. It's not something that happens that often, but I do like maybe 3 to 4 puzzles a year. So that's something that I do while listening to audiobooks. And I have in the past also cross-stitched while I listen to audiobooks. A lot of times I'm listening to audiobooks when I'm driving, and I don't really listen to music anymore. Usually if I'm in the car, I'm listening to an audiobook. But actually lately, like within the last 6 months, I've gotten really into reading and listening at the same time. So if I don't have like an activity to do, a lot of times I'll sit and have the book in front of me and read along with it, which is not multitasking, but I can actually listen to the audiobook and read faster if I do that. So sometimes, especially if I'm in a hurry to finish a book, I'll read and listen at the same time.
That's cool.
I don't listen to audiobooks a whole heck of a lot, but if I do, like really the only time I can listen to them is either some cleaning, not all cleaning, but like certain things I'm doing while cleaning, like dishes maybe, or like just sweeping and swiffering the floors, that type of thing, or in the car. But like I can really only listen to either a reread on audio or like nonfiction. Anything else, I can't stay focused enough usually.
I feel like we could do a whole video on audiobooks, but I'll just say I 100% to what Jessie said. I actually like organizing, and I kind of like cleaning, but my thing is that I always feel like that's more for me and less for like other people, where if I'm reading a book and I'm going to be doing a review, like that's for other people. And I'm really bad at doing things that are like just for me, kind of stuff. Cause I'm always like, even though it's cleaning the house, like it's still helpful. And it's nice for my husband too, if both of us are cleaning or whatever. But I love, like you guys know, I even sent pictures to Deshauna. I was like organizing the cupboards in the kitchen and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it looks so much better. And so I like listening to audiobooks while cleaning. What Jade was saying, I do like a good puzzle every now and then. I love doing artwork on the iPad because that's something that I can do for hours and hours and hours. And then I feel like I'm getting multiple things done. I'm like trying to get better at doing artwork while also listening to an audiobook. And it's such a good feeling when you feel accomplished in one area. And then on top of that, you go back and you see what page you're on now. And you're like, I got through 50 pages. It's awesome. It's like, I don't know. It's a nice feeling. So I do, unless the audiobook narrator is really slow. And then you're like, that was 15 pages. I listened like for an hour. So except for when that happens, that's kind of a bummer. But obviously it's about, what you're hearing, not how quickly you can get through it. But yeah, I think for sure, just lots of activities. I used to like to go for walks and listen to an audiobook. Not so much now, because if I'm going to go for a walk, I feel really bad not bringing the dog because, it's like her favorite thing ever. And I don't want to listen to an audiobook while being out with the dog, because then I feel like I'm for sure going to get distracted because my dog is sniffing and excited about things, and that wouldn't work. But I do like small exercise type stuff with audiobooks. So anyway.
One thing that I have not mastered, and I'm curious what you think of this, Elle. Some people say that they listen to audiobooks while playing video games. And I'm just like, no. How?
No.
I have a few times listened to podcasts while if I'm doing something mindless in a video game, but I can't do it with an audiobook. I feel like I have to pay more attention.
Well, unless it's Animal Crossing and you're just picking up weeds.
I couldn't do that though. I tried.
I can't, because I'm when I play a video game, I'm in it. You know what I mean? So I can't, even if I'm just derping around in Ghost of Tsushima, being you know what, I feel like killing some Mongol invaders right now. Even if I'm not doing anything in the story or any kind of side quest or something, I'm okay, now I'm going to throw my knives and now I'm going to assassinate this guy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I feel like I could do it maybe when I'm looting, but that's 5 minutes and then I'm doing something else and then I'm looting. It's so stop and go that I can't do it.
I really want to know now for anybody watching if they can do it. I'm always fascinated the things that some people say they do while listening to audiobooks, because I'm I have to be doing something relatively mindless. I can't, if it requires my attention, which this would be interesting too. I'd be very curious to see. They say, I think, that women are more likely to multitask and men are more likely, not always, of course, but I think I've read somewhere that men are more likely to almost hyper focus on things, and women have a tendency to do lots of things at once. So I would be very curious for the people who listen to audiobooks, if you are, if you're a lady or if you're a fella, because I'd be curious to see if there is kind of a correlation beyond just what I've read about general multitasking. If audiobooks, like you were saying, Jade, when you're reading and listening, it's not necessarily multitasking per se, but I don't know. Cause I guess with audiobooks, I feel like I still want to listen intently. I think for some people, listening to an audiobook is almost like listening to music. It's just I don't know. It's very interesting because I don't know if it's because the kind of music that I like, I want to be really attentive toward that also. Because for me, regular pop music, whatever, that can be on and I'm not paying attention. But if I'm listening to some Bach or something, I'm wow, the way the thematic thing comes back and I get all it's really amazing to listen to. And so my brain, when I'm listening to an audiobook's I need to be paying attention to this. And I can't do other even playing a video game, even if it's Tekken and it's a fighting game, still my fingers are I have to hit these buttons at this time. And I can't do it.
I haven't been able to master it either.
Okay. I feel like that got really boring for some people. So the next question is a silly one. Do you use bookmarks or random pieces of paper? Or if you listen on, or if you use Kindles or whatever, how do you keep track of where you are?
I use magnetic bookmark clips only. Ooh. It's the best. I love them. And only these the ones that are flush. Because I had some before that it was a magnet with a piece of paper glued to it and it sticks up a lot. So I like these tiny flush ones that sit really good on the page.
Oh, okay.
I have some of those, but I don't use them very much. I do usually use a bookmark, but a lot of times, so whenever I pick up books from the library that I've put on hold, they have just a skinny piece of paper that has my name and a date on it. And I a lot of times just use those over and over. and I mean, I'll use whatever's around, but a lot of times I do have like an actual bookmark that I'm using.
Yeah, I use
not the bookmark. You know, some people like don't use one at all. That would drive me nuts because then I'm spending like 10 minutes trying to find my page.
Yeah, I use bookmarks. Shout out to Marie's Crafting. She's got beautiful.
Those are so cute.
I love her bookmarks. So I definitely use her bookmarks. And in the past, when I traveled before COVID for my job, I usually travel a lot. I used like anything I could find. Like I've used like the little pieces of notepad paper that you get at the hotels that are just like for random notes. I'll use those or receipts. I've dog-eared pages before.
Never.
Never.
I still do that sometimes if for some reason if I don't have one of my bookmarks, I'm just like, nah, it's fine. But I usually have a bookmark.
But yeah, so that's my thing.
I generally will use, like you guys are saying, a bookmark, random piece of paper, whatever. But I have quite a few bookmarks because our local used bookstores, when you buy books, a lot of times they'll put one of their bookmarks in the books. If you buy something from Book Depository, it usually comes with a bookmark. If you get something from Book of the Month, it comes with a bookmark. And I have, like try to help out book box companies, and every now and then I'll do one of their like special edition one-off type boxes where it's not regular and they come with bookmarks. So I have so many that when I do use a random piece of paper, it makes me feel like I'm failing at life because I'm like, you have so many bookmarks. So why are you not using a bookmark right now? So
that's why I don't get book boxes because I don't want like a bunch of stuff that like I'm not going to use. But I always see so many cute bookmarks from book boxes or companies or, people who have like their Etsy shops and they have like the cutest bookmarks and I love them, but I solely use those. So I
saw somebody, I'm forgetting who it was. But if you guys are watching, you can let me know. Somebody had the coolest Store My Archive, like all the different shard blades and the colors of the bookmarks were beautiful. And I was like, oh, I want those. And I did not get them, but I still want them. But then I'm like, I know for a fact that I'm still going to end up using my like fast food receipt. And then I'm going to also feel bad because I'm like, you need to stop eating fast food. Just like so many other reasons to feel like a failure.
I also have a ton of bookmarks I went to BookNet Fest last year, which is like a book convention booktuber thing. But I got a bunch of like branded bookmarks from other booktubers. So I use a lot of those. And then I also have my own bookmarks that I design that have like my face on them. I always feel kind of silly when I use them, but I have so many because I don't get rid of them very easily. So I use those a lot too.
Have you guys ever seen the My Bookmark with like the custom handmade like clay little like feet and stuff sticking out? Here, I'll show you. It's like that's a Rapunzel one with her little feet hanging out.
Well, that's cute.
And they've got like an Alice in Wonderland one, like Wizard of Oz, where it looks like the book is closed on the Wicked Witch of the West feet.
That's so cute.
So cool. Those are also really cool bookmarks.
Yeah, they're super cute.
Bookmarks.
There's so many really cool ones.
Yeah, I feel like now I'm just thinking about those Store My Archive ones. Clearly they haven't left me. And Marie's, what is her shop name again?
Marie's Crafting. We can link it in the description.
Yeah, we'll link it. We'll remember to link it every time you show it. I'm like, oh, those are so cute. I want.
They're amazing. Yeah.
Like double to question number 3. Can you just stop reading, or do you have to stop after a chapter or a certain amount of pages?
I just stop reading. I mean, I usually try to get to like at least a page, like a chapter, like a break partway through a chapter or like the end of a chapter. I'll try to, but if I'm like starting to get tired and I'm like, oh my God, and I kind of like look forward and it's like 10 more pages before there's any kind of break, I'll just be like, all right, I'm done. Like I'll get to the end of a paragraph and then close the book.
Yeah, I will stop sometimes like mid-sentence if I'm falling asleep because I'm like, no, I'm falling asleep. If I read any more, I'm not going to process anything that I read. That's why I love short chapters because short chapters make it so much easier to just
Yes.
finish the chapter.
Well, I love short chapters too.
Short chapters are nice because then you're like, oh, okay, I only have 2 more pages. I can read the next one too. The only one, the next one's only 5. I can read the next one too. And then you end up reading 50 pages. But if it were a chapter that were 50 pages, I'd be like, when the heck is this chapter ending?
Yeah. I try really hard to stop at the end of a chapter. Like if I'm daytime reading, definitely stopping at the end of a chapter. But like I said, I do a lot of my reading before I go to bed. And so if I'm falling asleep, like I try to get to the end of the chapter. And if I realize that I have fallen asleep multiple times while reading, then I just call it and I put it away. But I do try really hard to make it to the end of the chapter.
So this is interesting. And Jade, I remember when you were like, I love to sleep. I'm great at sleeping in one of our chats. Yeah. I'm not great at sleeping. I struggle to fall asleep even when I'm like, it is bedtime now. I need to go to sleep. I just struggle. So for me, it's actually pretty easy to be like, okay, I got to get to a page breaker. I got to get to the end of a chapter. And then I have to try to stop thinking about the book while I'm trying to sleep. But another thing, so if I'm reading in the daytime, I hate, because a lot of times if I stop reading and then I go to do something else, then I'm like, okay, well, I can keep going with the audiobook. And it's not too bad if it's a well correlated audiobook, but some audiobooks are the worst. The audiobook will say that there's like 242 chapters and there's like 17, but for whatever reason, like every few pages, it's like a new chapter of the audiobook. So that I can't stand. And I feel like I have to finish a chapter. Then I got to find that stupid chapter in the audiobook. So for going back and forth between book and audiobook, I have to find the end of the chapter. I just have a hard time just ending in random mid-sentence. Jessie, I can't do that. I can't.
I'm like falling asleep. If it's like daytime reading, then I try to get to the end of the chapter. But if I'm falling asleep, I'm like, no. And I'll just like restart that chapter, that page, depending on how far I got the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to switching back and forth between like physical and audiobooks, I also try to get to the end of a chapter. But sometimes when I'm driving and I just get home, I just have to like stop. And so a lot of times, okay, first of all, I like when I have the ebook and I can do the whisper sync because I have Kindle stuff. Like that's always really nice, but I don't always have that option. So sometimes if I am in the middle of an audiobook chapter, the next time I sit down to read, I just keep going with the audiobook until I get to the end of the chapter.
Right. Is that where it tells you where you are in the book based off of your audiobook? What was that you mentioned? The
whisper sync. So if I'm listening to the audiobook and it's like syncing with my ebook, when I go to open the ebook, it'll say, oh, the last time you read, you stopped on this page. Do you want to go there? And I say yes, and it'll automatically take me to where I was in the ebook or in the audiobook. And same thing the other way too. It doesn't always work. It's not perfect. But a lot of times if I stop reading the ebook, the next time I open the audiobook, it'll say, oh, the last page you read was this. Do you want to go there? And I say, okay. And it'll take me there. So that's cool. That's a nice feature.
That is cool. The next question, do you eat or drink while reading? I feel like 3 of us in this chat, the patrons, would know the answer to that from our reading sprints over on my Patreon. I always have one of these. I have one of these like all day long. I have now gotten to a point where I have a consistent order every 2 weeks for like a new delivery of these because I'm like, I drink these so much. I need to just have it frequently delivered. So I'm always drinking. That's probably not helpful to hold up these. If they want to sponsor Worldhoppers, like we'll accept that, or I always usually have some water, which my patrons will be excited to know, guys. I bought a water filter so that I can be a better member of our planet and stop buying bottled water.
Was I telling you about that? Remember that documentary? I was like, you could watch that documentary. And you were like, no, thank you.
No, I haven't watched. I already know. I haven't watched that documentary, but I'm like, I know I need to buy a water filter. So Sean's grandparents randomly got us a Bed Bath & Beyond gift card for Christmas. And I'm like, we don't shop there or need any, but I was like, oh, do they have water filters so we can buy a water filter? So we did. So anyway, now I have filtered water, everyone. I'm trying to be better toward the planet. But I don't usually eat, because I don't want my fingers to get stuff on my books. And I'm not somebody that's like, I don't know, my fingers are just, I feel like my fingers are always dirty from stuff. I wash them. But even just like as a kid, I used to sketch and I'd get the black marks all over. And then my mom would always be like, stop it, because light switches would have gray, black smears on them, or like the door handle, or like near the door, like the door frame. So I just feel like I have a bad habit of, I don't know, my hands not being super clean, and I want to keep my books clean. I don't want to smudge the covers. So I try to avoid, I'm a messy eater too. I feel like I go through more napkins than like anyone else at the table. So no, unless it's like not anything with residue, or I can like maybe like a little piece of popcorn where it's not like full on eating. I can't have like chips and salsa while I'm eating a book though.
Yeah. While you're eating a book?
Well, did I say eating a book? Reading a
That's
book.
what I heard. I don't know.
I'm not reading. If I said eating, that's hilarious.
Oh, that's too funny. I always have my water like just constantly with me throughout the day. So I mean, I'll drink that while I'm reading kind of, but I don't eat, not for any reasons really, other than it's annoying to me. Like I'm all sitting there all propped up on the couch and like holding this book, and then like I gotta like set it down to like grab something that I'm snacking on, and like, it just annoys me. So I'm like, no. So that's the only reason I don't. But I also wouldn't want to get like my grubby little paws all over the pages either.
Well, one tip that I've heard, if you're going to snack while eating, is to have a snack that you can put in a cup that you can just like put like popcorn that you can just like put in your mouth without having to actually touch it.
That sounds like a disaster for me. I would absolutely just like, it would spill everywhere, and I would get it like, and then my dog, of course, she would then get up on the couch. She already like burrows into the couch cushions and like inhales really loud. And I'm like, Luna, I'm pretty sure you are getting far more dust than you are getting like crumbs right now. But anyway, if she saw me, that's another reason. Cause like, I want my dog to be chilling out while I'm reading. And if I have food, she's going to like come right up and start sniffing, and I'll be like, I'm trying to read. So I feel like, but that's a good tip for people who aren't monsters like I am. I can't do it.
Yeah. I generally don't eat while I read. Usually I have water. Sometimes coffee if it's like in the morning or early afternoon, because on the weekends I'm a late sleeper because I'm a champion sleeper, so I don't wake up until like noon a lot of the times. But I have been known to, like, especially growing up, I did this all the time. I would always have a book with me while I was eating my meal. And it would drive my mom nuts because she's like, it makes you eat so much more slowly. But I'm like, no, I need to multitask. I need to like keep reading in my book. So I would like eat and read all the time growing up. I don't do it so much anymore because I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. So a lot of times I eat and watch TV. Like that's the only TV time I get. But sometimes I still, like if I'm really into a book and I can't put it down and I need to eat a meal, I will read, usually a library copy. Like I don't like to do it with like my own owned copies. But honestly, a lot of times I'll listen to an audiobook while I'm eating. Yeah. That's a lot easier.
Yeah.
I'll definitely eat. I'll for sure eat while listening to an audiobook. That's another thing you can do while you're eating, especially for those who don't know, Jade and I are not fancy chefs. The meals that we make for ourselves are probably out of a box or the freezer. Whereas I think for other people, you know, it's like, it's a nice activity eating and stuff. And for me, no. So that's another mindless thing, eating our food.
Yeah, I don't eat, but I got this idea from Leslie over at the Nerdy Narrative, who's been on the channel. She's a Worldhopper. She always in her like weekly reading updates talks about how she has her morning cup of coffee with like a volume of manga. And I'm trying to get more into manga this year and just like graphic novels and comic books. So I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to have my morning cup of coffee with my manga or my graphic novel, and that's what I'm going to do. So I've started doing that every day this year. I haven't failed yet, even though it's 3 days into the year. and I finished my first like Sailor Moon volume.
Yay.
So I'm very excited, and I'm starting Full Metal Alchemist next, the first volume of that, tomorrow morning with my cup of coffee. I'm very excited.
Oh my gosh. I feel like we need to have, we talked about this with Alan and Alex before too. We need to have a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood watch party somehow. I don't know how do people do that without
I don't know.
There used to be an app that you could like watch Netflix together, but I don't know if it still works or not. It's like a Chrome add-on or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
because that would be really fun.
Yeah.
It's just called Netflix Watch Party. It's a Chrome
Does it still
extension.
work? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. I think you just can't do it with like a bajillion people. Like it's better suited to like 10 or less, I think. Is what I heard. I've never tried it though, but
We will have to look into it because, oh my gosh, a Full Metal Alchemist watch party. I can just think of certain scenes. There are certain scenes that I'm just imagining people's reactions to. But
I'm probably like 6 episodes in, I think. I haven't watched it in a while.
oh yeah, you gotta keep going. But anyway, the next question, you mentioned multitask. We've mentioned multitasking a few times. Do you multitask, like listen to music or TV while reading? And we'll stick to physical copies and not audiobooks because we kind of addressed that earlier.
I do not. The only thing I can listen to is maybe like ambient noise, like a fireplace sound or waterfalls. Like I watch some of those YouTube videos that are like different settings and stuff, but I cannot listen to music while reading. I know a lot of people do. I definitely can't.
No, I can't. I literally on this TV right now, that direction, have ambiance on. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's like a little crackling fireplace, but I love that. I do like the slight noise like that, but no, I can't, as we have discussed, I can't listen to music at the same time. Especially, I don't know how most people don't listen to music that is instrumental. Like, I feel like most people are not like me where I'm like, I want to listen to some Tchaikovsky right now. Most people listen to stuff that has words. How do you listen to things with words while you're reading words?
I definitely could not. I think a lot of people listen to soundtracks for movies, which is more instrumental. But yeah, especially if it has words, there's no way.
The only time I'll listen to music is if I'm in a public place and I'm more likely to get distracted by hearing people talk. So then I'll put on headphones so that I can try to read while I'm in a public place. So I have a couple of like reading music playlists and stuff on my channel of like saved pieces of music. But yeah, otherwise, if I'm just at my house, maybe like a really there's some music there's not much. I feel bad saying there's not much to it, but it's more just like chords that kind of go in and out. You know what I'm talking about? That kind of the atmospheric type music that's almost ambiance anyway. For sure, that makes sense. But no, I don't know how people they have their jams while they're listening. Just
me neither.
My husband, when he starts a book, he will play a song. He'll have headphones on and play a song. It could be any song. It could be a word song, instrumental song, any song. But that's the only song he listens to while he's reading the book. So that one song is on loop and it just plays over and over again. And then anytime he hears that song, once he finishes the book, anytime he hears that song, afterwards, if it comes up on a playlist, he's like, "Oh, that's the song I was listening to while I was reading The Martian." I'm like, "How did you do that?"
So weird.
So funny. I love it.
But he does.
Yeah, so I will have the TV on sometimes because I mean, pretty much the only TV I watch is the same sitcoms, just on loop, on repeat, over and over and over again. So it'll be like Will and Grace for the literally 150th time, or like How I Met Your Mother for like the 50th time, or whatever show. But I'll have it turned down super, super, super low so that it's just like barely audible. Like I can't actually hear what they're saying. I just hear that there's noise. And I feel like part of that is just because, I don't know, it makes me feel it makes me feel like more lively, if that makes sense. Like,
alone.
I'm not just sitting in the silence, like reading. Like there's stuff going on, and like I'm living my life and I'm reading. And I will often do the ambient. I have like a whole playlist of like a bajillion ambient channels.
I think that I don't remember what made me start doing the fireplace one. I think I saw it was not a booktuber. I just saw a person have it as part of their like aesthetic for their background. And I was like, that actually kind of seems nice. Like, and I would put it on, and if like company was coming over, I would clean and then have like the little fireplace on or whatever. But I think I think it was you were showing me like different ones, like the potion shop or something.
Oh yeah. There's like
So then I was like, this is a thing. Like I didn't realize there was more than this. Yeah.
I'll have like different like there's one that's like this eerie Victorian one. So if I'm like to suit the mood of the book a little bit. It's like a darker book. I found like there's like African like marketplace ones, and the video or the picture, it's not really a video, kind of goes along with the theme of the book, or just all these different ones. Yeah, fairy forest, or like
I like the Harry Potter ASMR rooms ones, and a lot of times they'll pick like the library or the like Hogwarts Lake setting if I want like birds and outdoor sounds. But if I'm reading like a spooky book, I like to try and pick like a spooky one.
So this might sound kind of stupid, but for mine, I often want one, not necessarily that fits the mood of the book, but that is really bright. Because if it's later in the day and it's darker, I don't like, I don't know if it's because I have bad eyesight, so I just like hate when I can't see well. But I want as much light in the room as possible. So I'll put on an ambiance, like I'll look for one that looks bright just so that it can have more light in there, especially now with our TV being a big TV, it like makes the room so much brighter. So I don't know if other people do that too, but I also just like the like crackly sounds. I have to add, just to tease Joshana, my grandma would also have the TV just on, but like you couldn't really hear it. And it would, or she would have it on and it'd be really loud and they'd be talking to you. And like, I was so hard for me to like not get distracted. So when Joshana would have that and you could like barely hear it, my brain is just like, but what are they saying? Like, what are they saying? I want to know. And then
I don't want to know though. That's
I know, but it, like,
or I do know because I've seen it so many times where like I know exactly what's happening in the episode.
I feel like I just get and I think that's part of it is I'm not always familiar with the shows that you have on. So I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's happening right now? And then I get distracted. So really quick, it has been a little bit shorter. We're coming up on 40 minutes. Usually our videos are close to an hour. But would you guys want to do a part 2? There's one question that I feel like we could talk at length for in the last 4, because there's 4 more questions. There's one that I feel like we could talk for a long time about. I almost wonder if we should maybe save the other 4 for a part 2 and just have these be slightly not as long videos. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So we'll do a part 2 sometime. I'll let you know the question that I feel like we have a lot that we could potentially chat about. That one would be the last one. Do you ever read ahead or even skip pages? I feel like we could have quite the chat about that potentially. So I kind of want to save that. And also I get asked this a lot. I see a lot of booktubers get asked this one about reading multiple books. So I feel like we can talk about that for a while.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we'll save it for part 2, but this was fun. This was a very fun little like get to know us a little better and chat about reading habits. I definitely want to know all of your habits, and especially the audiobook one. Like Jade was saying, are you able to play video games or do other stuff? Do you eat? Do you have full meals while you are reading? Do you have the TV turned on like an actual up where you can hear it? But anyway, thanks for joining us today. And we hope to see you guys soon. We'll have some more videos linked. We'll have the Etsy shop linked. Is it Etsy or is it just her own website?
Website. Yeah. So I'll make sure to get that to you.
Okay. Yay. Okay. Perfect. But anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. And we'll see you later.